Now, you've been so furious about the rush to net zero.
I was the first one to say that net zero is madness, it's making us poorer, it's making us colder. But look, you know, in a sense, I should be flattered that finally some common sense is emerging in parts of the Conservative government. Because actually, it's not just on net zero, they're starting to see the light on HS2. We're going to get an announcement on that. Show some courage, Prime Minister, show some guts, scrap the whole of HS2, and also scrap the whole of net zero. And this, I think, is good news, that at least that they're starting to sort of pave the way by delaying the ban on petrol cars, on diesel cars, because there's a clear difference. We all want cleaner air and a better environment. That has got nothing to do with the madness of net zero and climate change. That's about technology, that's about investing in a proportionate, affordable way. So, look, the truth is that the government is terrified of what their own voters are saying. They're saying, actually, we rather like what Reform's saying.
Imitation is the best form of flattery, Richard Tice, and you would say that you have inspired the Conservative Party. But I'm thinking Uxbridge in particular, the reaction to that by-election was a real shot across their bows, wasn't it? And what else have they done? Like, is it just that we live in the era, don't we, of focus groups, that they've commissioned some research, maybe 30 people have said this isn't very popular, and then they change their policy. It just feels, where's the values at the heart of it?
Those of you who understand what really is going on in the economy, how real people actually feel the suffering that they're experiencing. I don't need a focus group to tell me that. I know in my gut, in my heart, the difference between right and wrong. Net zero has been wrong from the start. We've had the courage to say it, and actually, finally, some people are actually saying, yeah, do you know what? Tice is right, yet again.
But we couldn't even if they were going to press ahead with it, Richard, how could they possibly get this back, getting all these gas boilers torn out of people's homes, when there's no provision for alternatives, and the ones that are there are far too expensive?
There's a simple expression in life. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Perfectly decent gas boilers work a treat. There are 23 million of them in British homes. And heat pumps in most homes across the United Kingdom, apart from relatively new ones or very modern ones, frankly, are useless. So forget the heat pumps, keep the gas boilers. And here's the other thing, though. The real damage that is being done is that almost no money is being invested in cleaner fuels for fossil fuel combustion engine cars. No money is being invested in combustion engines to make them cleaner and the like. So the automotive industry is all over the place now. What do we do?
I'm glad you mentioned the automotive industry, because Ford has warned that pushing back on a ban on sales of new petrol and diesel cars to 2035 would undermine business certainty, because, of course, there's the clamour for them to invest in
because they've
electric
been
vehicles.
Absolutely shafted. They've been told to go down this route. They've invested a load of cash, and now, actually, rather like we're seeing across the rest of Europe, governments are realising it's the wrong thing to do. Voters don't want it. The grid capacity can't sustain it. And so they're pushing back on it.
But it's shocking, though, isn't it? As you say, for what does business need above all else? It needs certainty. Anybody financially planning for an industry, for a business, it doesn't matter if you're a shopkeeper or you're creating electric cars to great fanfare. You wake up this morning and the direction of travel has changed for our travel means.
And look, it's a good thing.
Destabilising.
Let's hope the Prime Minister does actually say what has been leaked here. But I also say, you know what, in business, the first loss is the best loss. Don't pour good money after bad. That's the reality here. Net zero is a catastrophe for British jobs. Look at the jobs that are being sacrificed on the altar of net zero down at Port Talbot. I'm going down there today to talk to steel workers, to talk to union reps, because that is the real pain. Thousands of skilled manufacturing jobs, decent jobs, communities ripped apart by the madness of net zero.
And if they hadn't stepped in with a government grant of 500 million, steelmaking would probably have vanished in this country forever.
Completely. And it's utter madness. You need blast furnaces to make the strongest, highest quality steel and to ensure that we've got security in steelmaking.
We've got to talk about Blair, because he pulled the strings of the trip yesterday to Paris for Mr. Sir Keir Starmer. He saw Macron. We now know that Europe, France and Germany are offering what they call a four-tier Europe, which we'd have to pay into. We can follow EU. But Starmer wants to get us back in by hook or by crook.
We can see the direction of travel. Flip-flop Starmer can't be trusted on anything. He says he doesn't want freedom of movement. He wants open borders. He wants mass immigration. He says he doesn't want to go back in the single market or the customs union. Union. He's going to take us in there, not through the front door, but sneakily, snively, through the back door. That's what this is all about. And whether it's 3 tiers or 4 tiers, however you want to dress them up, we know the direction of travel. What we should be doing is doing Brexit properly, rather than saying, actually, I want to reverse it through the back door.
It's such a risky policy, this. It's such a risky strategy, let's say, by Starmer in the run-up to the next election. We've said here, really, all the polls show that given the disruption and the turmoil of the last few years, all he had to do was just do nothing controversial, and he would have won seats all over the place. But by clearly nailing his colours to the EU mast, what is he doing? Is he trying to appeal to the Remainers? Because somebody needs to remind him that the majority of people voted for Brexit.
He's trying to appeal to Islington and to the Westminster Village, forgetting that actually the core voters out in the real world, they don't want this. They want Brexit to be done properly, to get on with it, to take advantage of the opportunities. In a sense, he's actually making my job easier, because the divide is now there for all to see. You've got Starmer wanting to go back in. You've got the Tories utterly hopeless, not doing Brexit properly, and Reform UK with a clear plan to do Brexit properly, to make Britain great again.
And we know that we can't underestimate the role of Blair in all of this, Richard, because he's a backseat driver. He's got lots of his people in Keir Starmer's private office. He's pulling lots of strings, and we know Blair is devastated by the result of the referendums, never come to terms with it, and wants to get us back.
And look, we have to face this, and if we have to fight it all over again, we will do that in the run-up to the general election. We're standing everywhere, and people will then have a genuine choice. Going back to Tony Blair, though, let's remember that it's Tony Blair who said, whatever we do on net zero makes no difference to climate change.
He did.
Because the growth in emissions in China every year is greater than our total annual emissions. People seem to have forgotten. That's the one sensible thing Tony Blair has said in a very long time.
With him.
So what is he up to then? What's Blair up to? Why is he meddling in all this? There's a lot of money to be made.
He's power and money. Look, he's the puppet master. He's pulling the strings. He's delighted at the complete haulics the Conservatives have made of almost everything in the country. Nothing works. So he's made Labour's job easier on one hand. And so he's giving Starmer help. He thinks it's great. It's a bit, frankly, like Barack Obama helping Joe Biden.